It is 12:58. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans finalized their coaching staff yesterday. As reported by Tom Pelissero, the team has hired Justin Outen as the running backs coach and run game coordinator. Outen spent the 2022 season as the Broncos offensive coordinator. Prior to that, spending 3 years as the Packers tight ends coach. So the Titan staff is complete. That makes 10 names that are either new to the staff or working under different roles going into 2023. College basketball, number 10 Tennessee has lost 3 of its last 4. They'll look to get back on track against the number 1 team in the country. Alabama heads to Knoxville tonight, a 6 p.m. tip-off, and you can hear it right here on The Zone, courtesy of the Vol Network. Belmont also in action tonight, hosting Evansville at the Curb Center. That's a 6:30 tip. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine Bishop and Mickey Ryan. Blaine Bishop and Mickey Ryan. We're on the radio or wherever you're listening. We're on the internet. We're everywhere. Are we on Zoom? What are we on?
On Zoom?
Yeah, I'm just going to throw out everything here.
We haven't been on Zoom in years at this point.
Are we on YouTube? Are we on
YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch.
Are we on MySpace? What are we on?
Connected us to MySpace, so they make sure.
Did you have a MySpace?
Absolutely not.
No? Oh, I thought that was going to be an absolutely.
Yeah, I did.
Had all your tracks up there?
No.
From your singing career?
No, there's a part of me, I always want to be slow to certain parties.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, that party ended before you got to do it then.
I'm still not on Snapchat. I signed up for it just to make sure I thought I could, make sure I'm paying attention to stuff that, your kids are doing, but it's hard to do. So I just left it alone.
TikTok? You and Ziggy on TikTok?
No.
With your riding dirty videos?
Yeah, well, Ziggy is. I'm not.
Your dog.
My dog is on TikTok. Hey, man. I should have blew that up, but I didn't take it to the next level. I needed help from Lucas, man. You got to help the old guy out.
I do not have a TikTok.
No TikTok for you?
I won't do it. I refuse.
See?
I'm going to waste so much time on that thing if I know I will.
Exactly. I can entertain myself easy for 30 minutes on TikTok.
This is just you knowing yourself, saying, can't do it.
Don't want it.
Good. Yeah, there you go. I knew there were some parts of Lucas we were alike.
I already spend way too much time on Twitter and on my phone. There's no need to add another one.
Snapchat?
I don't do Snapchat as much anymore.
Yeah. Which means that
so that's more of a, high school, college thing? Or
yeah,
no?
Snapchat was big when I was in high school.
Okay.
That's when Snapchat was really blowing up.
Educate us. Okay. Yeah.
I know a lot of people, my daughter and her friends, who at different times have only communicated with each other via Snapchat.
Yeah, that's what they do.
You have a phone. Just text.
Just text.
Just text your friend.
No, they don't. No, because they want that thing to evaporate and
into thin air.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I told my son, don't get a Snapchat. I remember he's in high school. I said, do not get a Snapchat account. I found out he had a Snapchat account. Thanks for listening. Okay. So you guess what you setting yourself up for when it really counts? And I say, and you don't listen to me. And I didn't tell him to take it down either. I just, all right. Okay.
You could only have one social media. What would you pick?
No.
Twitter, easy.
Yeah. I'm going Twitter. Oh, that's a good question. People like IG, depending on where people would say Facebook, different generations. Or if they want to call it Meta or whatever the heck.
It's so easy to me. Twitter, by far.
Twitter.
I'm 100 to nothing Twitter to everything else. If you were scoring at 1 to 100 or 0
I'm
to 100.
Twitter and then I'm IG.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if I would be so much more involved in Twitter, even though you get information quickly. Would I be more IG if I wasn't in, let's say, the media realm? Because IG is kind of more pictures. At least that's what I use it for.
Instagram's like, look how good my life is.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of that. Yeah. That's why I say pictures. Maybe not so much, especially when you posting food pictures.
Man, as weird as it is to say, Instagram might be my least favorite.
Instagram.
Yeah.
So what's your ranking?
Like Twitter, and then I don't really like anything else.
Oh.
I mean, I'm on Instagram
How can you
and
say it's your
Facebook.
least liked if you don't rank anything other than Twitter?
Facebook, though, just turns into like all your parents' friends fighting with each other about everything.
Well, I don't even look at that.
And it's probably smart.
Yeah, I have a fan, but man, it's too much craziness on there for me. I do ask my wife to even go look on there and see what's going on in my family because they don't have anything else. That's crazy. I'm like, hey, see what such and such is doing. Yeah, go check them out.
All right, we'll put this question out. This was not part of the script for today's show. I was just talking to somebody about social media earlier today, so here we go. Lucas brought up MySpace yesterday, I believe, on the show.
Yeah, it blew our minds.
So it was just out there as the thought. So this didn't blow my mind, but there's a story from a Jets reporter, a guy named Connor Hughes. He was giving an update on the Jets situation from was it Sky Sports? Is that where this originated from? Lucas, you're looking at me like a dog who's confused by what I'm saying. You cocked your head off to the side. Sky Sports, I believe. And he's accredited that he's got a bunch of followers. His account's got a bunch of followers. So this isn't just like the random thing where just one guy saying it with, six followers. He says the Jets are going to do their homework on every available quarterback, but the pecking order seems to be as follows. And this has been out there. Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, Ryan Tannehill. Others have said that Tannehill was down the Jets' pecking order. But in this article...
They're only connecting the dots because of the coaches?
Didn't say why, but this is how the article ends.
I'm trying to do what Lucas told me to do.
Yes.
I'm trying to connect dots, and that's how things get happen. And also, we must listen to the wording of these national media guys because there's a play on words, too, when they say things. There's and that's when you can tell if they're getting from source or they're giving their opinion from whether it's from their own agent. I think that's how they're getting, away with well, I didn't say that they are. I just said they would be possibly interested. That don't mean that they told me that, or I'm just putting two and two together with the coaching staff and people who they hired. At least that's how I formulated it in my mind, because there's a difference. People, and then once it gets on Twitter, then the regular Joe like myself then regurgitated. Then it becomes he said it. It's not that he played on the words of how he presented it. It's just that they're interested, and that means that Tannehill is not going to be here. See how that all snowballs real quick, real fast. So what? I'm sorry if I interrupted you, but
no.
So Tannehill's possibly going there?
Well, this is one of the last sentences in the article. Don't sleep on Tannehill. There's a feeling around the NFL that the Jets are much higher on him than some want to believe.
And this is coming from, explain this guy again?
From a Jets reporter named Connor Hughes.
Wow.
Is his name.
So then who are the Titans? If that actually, let's just theory. If that happened, who were the Titans getting?
So SNY at SNY TV, New York Sports is that's the Twitter account for this. 195,000 followers.
So it's verified and everything, huh?
Followed by John Cena and Rex Chapman, and I'm just looking at who all follows this thing. And there's Giant stories, there's Jet stories, there's a bunch of Mets content and Yankees. So New York is its own sports market,
Yeah.
It's just so dang big.
Mm-hmm.
So they're covering all the New York sports. But this particular tweet just kind of made the rounds yesterday evening. And so I thought, okay, when I get a minute, I'm going to go and read over this. But, Connor Hughes is who this is attributed to. And I know this gets into it because we talked about it a little bit on the air yesterday, and you and Lucas were talking about this in a commercial break. So when Mike Garafolo or somebody or Ian Rappaport just throws out a name, well, Derek Carr, what was the report yesterday? Garafolo had said the Titans were one of the teams who would have interest in Jimmy Garoppolo. The Raiders cut Derek Carr yesterday while we were on the air, and there was a report from Ian Rappaport that mentioned a handful of teams, and it mentioned the Titans as a possible landing spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that got us into, and you asking the question, so did a bunch of his sources tell him? Yeah, they're super interested in this guy. You can say that. Was it his agent? Hey, man, I'm Ryan Tannehill's agent. He's about to get cut. You could say that the Titans must have interest in somebody else because they seem to have less. There's so many ways you could arrive at these guys saying it, which was, you're the why guy. Okay, why would he just say the name Titans? Does he know something? Or does he literally just look and go, well, the Titans are unsure at the quarterback situation, so the Titans probably have interest in this guy. Sort of like mock drafts. You look at them, and anybody with sense would look at the Titans and go, they may have to replace 4 people on the O-line. I'm going to mock this tackle from Ohio State to them. That makes sense, right? They need a tackle. So that's just common sense. So then all these quarterback names get linked to the Titans. You go, is this somebody just trying to common sense their way to this? And as we were talking about yesterday, it was at the end of the show, like Ryan Tannehill's under contract with the Titans. They haven't cut him. They haven't said, it's not like the Raiders where they're like, oh, no, we're going to cut him and we're cutting him. Or the 49ers coach, was it him or John Lynch who got asked about Jimmy G? He's like, I don't foresee
that happened.
I don't foresee a future.
Which it could possibly still happen, but
sure.
he's
but he got asked
right
about
now,
it,
right.
and he said, I don't foresee it was Shanahan or was it Lynch?
They basically said that last year too, right?
Like,
they kept it, but at least they addressed it. So you could say, okay, well, Jimmy G's going to be available.
Well, it became where he was available, and they just, he took a pay cut and they kept it moving. But I don't know. Have we heard any report from the actual Titans and Vrabel that Ryan Tannehill is their quarterback for 2023, as I just stated that? Like saying he's under contract is not saying he's going to be the quarterback for 2023 season. That's just a factual information. That's not saying he's your guy. Reason why I say that is because once you start listening to the play on words, you go, okay, nobody has said that. Even Rand, he talked about glowingly of the running back, but not of the quarterback. He says, I have to go back and evaluate the quarterback. And see, so it bought him some time. But in the meantime, he didn't say he's our guy.
Oh, no, I can tell you.
But he kind of said that for Derrick Henry, though.
This is what you nailed it.
I'm just playing out. I had no idea.
No, this is what Ryan Carthon said. I wrote it all down when he said it. He got asked if Ryan Tannehill's the starting quarterback next season. This was during his big intro. I don't think that's fair at this point. We're still evaluating the roster. I am. That's going to take further conversations between Mike and I. Ryan has been great here. He's won a lot of football games. I look forward to us winning the football games, but I still need more time to evaluate and make those decisions. This is a quarterback-driven league, and people are hired and fired every day over that position. I want to spend more time evaluating that position. I will have my own opinion, and Mike and I will confer to figure it out.
Now, do you have in your notes what he said about Derrick Henry?
No, but I can find that pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, because I think that comes across as we're not sure yet until we do a thorough, eval of them and see where we're at as a team and see how far we can go. But that could change. It could be the same. That's how I take what he just said. Now, did you find what he said about Derrick Henry?
No, my crack research staff is looking right now.
Yeah, so it's just I don't know how to take it with hearing all this Ryan Tannehill or the Titans are interested in a quarterback. I haven't, and then the Titans aren't going to come out every week and be like, no, he's our quarterback.
Right.
They're not going to do that. So, yeah, I don't know where to go with it. But what Vrabel did say in his interview when he hired his coaches and came out, he said that Ryan Tannehill is in the building and he likes the hire of the OC. Right? He said that Vrabel said that.
Yes, he's excited.
He's excited.
Yeah, and he's kept Tannehill in the loop.
Right. Well, first of all, he's in the facility. Why? Why is he in the facility, guys? He's rehabbing his ankle. So he has to be in the facility. So, and then there's a conversation. Hey, what do you think? Oh, okay. Well, too bad because you're not going to be a quarterback with him. He's not going to tell him that because he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know. Like, it could be a great deal that they just can't pass up. I don't know what that may be. Maybe they get Aaron Rodgers, or maybe they think Derek Carr is a longer-term plan than Ryan Tannehill because of age. Even though they're 3 years apart?
I think 2.
2 or 3 years apart. I think he's 31 and Tannehill will be 34 or something like that. So it's just like, okay, well, they're really the same kind of player. So why would we do that? So I'm interested. I mean, we're hearing Tannehill's name. Where are the Titans going at quarterback if they don't have Ryan Tannehill?
Boy, that is a fantastic question. Here's what he said about Derrick Henry. You want this before we go?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we come back, we got Jimmy Hyams, lots to get to, including just fantastic stories about Gus Manning. I'm sure the recently departed, may he rest in peace, Tennessee legend. This is what Rand Carthon said about Derrick Henry. Man, it's crazy. I've been watching Derrick Henry since he was at Yulee High School, a Florida boy. It's crazy to see how. I remember Coach Bill Parcells told me one time, running back is a production-based position. If you didn't get yards in high school and college, you're not getting them on this level. If you look at Derrick's history, he got yards in high school, he got them in college, and he has them at this level. More than anything, I can't wait to stand next to him and size him up to see how big he really is in person. That's what he said about Derrick Henry.
Now, and the question was your impressions and memories of Derrick. Where the question about Tannehill was what? It was
on your impressions or memories of Derrick Henry. That was the question. His question about Tannehill was, is he the starting quarterback next season?
Those are different questions.
Yep.
Because he asked, what are your impressions of Tannehill? Like, oh, it's a tough player, this and that, and we played him this year.
He just kind of gave his evaluation like he was scouting him all through since high school and his evaluation of what he thought of him, where he didn't give an evaluation of Tannehill.
Well, then he was asked, maybe the more revealing question, he's asked, do you think a team built around a running back can win a Super Bowl in today's NFL? And his answer was, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
He did. And I will say this, were the Final Four teams built around running backs, Lucas? The Final Four teams.
What would flippers say, Lucas?
Final. Well,
you do it better than I do.
He would say no.
No. All the teams were running backs were all done by committee. The Final Four teams, whoever was your quarterback. See? All the teams are also the Final Four teams. They were all offensive coordinator driven, not defense. And when I say that, I'm talking about the head coach, offensive driven team. So that's kind of where the trend goes. And that's even in hiring coaches now who get more credit, and get head coaching jobs than the defensive guy. And it's still always going to be just like Gannon just got the Arizona job from Philly, who was the DC. You go, how did he get the head job? He didn't make any adjustments in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, just where the league is going. Doesn't mean it's right. You can't win the other way. That's where it's going. That's facts.
Where we're going is to commercial, and then it'll be real quick, and then Jimmy Hyams will be on with us when we come back. Great storyteller. Tennessee got a pretty big basketball game coming up tonight, too. We'll get to all that next with Jimmy Hyams. Blaine Mickey, 1045 The Zone. Let's jump on this Mark Spain real estate hotline and head east towards Knoxville. Our friend Jimmy Hyams joins us now. Mr. Jimmy, how are you doing on this Wednesday afternoon?
Guys, I'm doing great. Looking forward to a big matchup tonight.
Heck yeah.
It's going to be big.
And we will get to that for sure. At Jimmy Hyams on Twitter, you need to follow him there, host of Sports Talk on WNML Radio. So let's start with this. Vol fans certainly know and they love Gus Manning, and they always will. You wrote a great blog, and people can, again, go to your Twitter at Jimmy Hyams, and they can easily find it there. Some of your favorite memories of Mr. Manning. Just would love for you to tell maybe your favorite story about him or favorite experience that you had with him, just anything you want to share about the great Gus Manning.
Well, he was a jack of all trades. It was amazing, all the hats that he wore. Tennessee sent out a release about him. They listed 23 duties. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. I mean, how many people now would it take to do those 23 jobs? Like 23 people? So he was amazing. He knew people all over the country. He was well known not just at Tennessee and in the SEC, but nationwide. A really good storyteller. Guy, one of my favorites is when I was telling that John Majors was upset with him because Majors lost the Heisman Trophy to Paul Hornung, and Hornung was on a 2-8 team. And Gus said, well, hell, I had to work hard to get him second place. So I got a kick out of that, and just so many stories about him saying he got fired as an altar boy because he rang the bell at the wrong time, the wrong bell at the wrong time. But he was always such a delight to visit. And I was fortunate that I lived real close to the nursing home where he was for a number of years. And I got to see him almost a weekly basis. And he could tell you stories dating back to the 1940s and even current stories. And his mind was really sharp. It faded a little bit toward the end, but it was such a delight to visit with him. And he was always upbeat. And the thing that he always wanted you to sign that register. If you came in to visit, by golly, he demanded you sign it because he wanted to know who came by to see him.
Well, I'm sure he appreciated those visits. One of the more interesting things is how do people get honored by places that maybe they gave their life to, like he did to Tennessee? What do you think would be an appropriate way to honor him there?
Gosh, that's a really good question. Obviously, he's been honored by having the Gus Manning Gate, which is outside the gate near the entrance to the press box. I don't know other things to do. He's in a lot of Hall of Fames. Heck, he's in an officials Hall of Fame. He was a really good TSSAA official, and I can't tell you how many people have come up to me since then and said, you know, Gus Manning, I was a coach of this team, and he kicked me out of the game. So I didn't know Gus had that streak in him where he was kicking coaches out of games. But I really don't know. It's a good question. I just know that they've honored him in a number of ways, and maybe doing something in the press box would be great. But I do think having the gate named after him is an appropriate gesture.
Sure. A guy who I heard Bob Kessling say once he knew his way around Neyland Stadium better than any human being on the face of the earth. Jimmy Hyams joins us now at Jimmy Hyams on Twitter, host of Sports Talk on WNML Radio.
Well, I guess since we're talking about honors, I guess Tennessee Vols had their Hall of Fame class, I guess, of 2023? I guess kind of go through some of those guys. If you want to mention, if you recall some of their playing days.
Yeah, there were. It was a heck of a class that they put in. Now, a little background: when COVID hit, they ceased with that, so they hadn't had a class in 2019.
Okay.
And so they made up a little ground. They put in a bigger class than usual, and it was a dozen of them. One of the things I liked about it is they spread the wealth. They didn't put in like 10 football players. They had a tennis player, Chris Woodruff, the only guy that ever won a singles title for Tennessee. They put in an outstanding tennis player on the women's side in Caitlin Wawritsky. They put in an Olympian and B.D. Trotter in track. So I thought it was really neat that they did that. There was also Chris Burke, one of the great baseball players Tennessee's ever had. Chuck Rowe. Chuck Rowe's history, he coached track, but he was also an assistant with football and recruiting coordinator. And he was the guy that first started bringing track athletes to Tennessee to play football also. So that was interesting. Carl Pickens, one of the best athletes Tennessee's ever had. He actually started as a freshman defensive back. Joan Cronin, the trailblazer in women's athletics, also being honored. and then Tiana Madison, also an Olympian. I thought it was a really strong class.
Yeah, that sounds really strong. That's why I saw Carl Pickens, who naturally I played against a lot there with the AFC Central initially, getting into the league with the Bengals, and then he eventually played with us as the Titans. So I thought that was kind of interesting there because he was a fascinating athlete in college, as all the inductees were. I guess you got guys at the combine. Naturally, there's 7 guys from Tennessee football. Wanted to ask you, did you think of there should be any other players? And I know it's hard to do because it's 300 and, so many guys there, but maybe slipped through the cracks that maybe should have got invited to the combine from Tennessee as well? Or maybe even some all-star games that they didn't get to participate in.
Yeah, I thought there might have been a defensive back that might have been able to make it. Gosh, I'm trying to remember. I'm a little bit off on this. I'm not sure if Princeton Fant got invited.
I'm not sure.
I think he should have been, as I'm trying to recall whether he made it or not.
He's kind of like that H-back, tight end, fullback guy, right?
Yeah, and think about this. He threw a touchdown pass. He ran for a few touchdowns, and he caught a touchdown pass. That's pretty versatile. And so I thought he was a guy that he could have been invited. I will be honest with you. I was surprised that they invited a punter, Paxton Brooks.
Oh.
And I wasn't sure they would invite Jeremy Banks. As one scout told me, or one NFL draft analyst, they got to do a heck of a background check on him, that athletically he's good enough to play in the NFL, but they just need to check on his character.
No doubt about it. And still on the football front, what did you think about this class? Is it in the top 10 or is it not? I thought it was in the top 10, their recruiting class, and then,
Depending on which service you looked at,
okay.
Here's what I liked about it, Blaine, a lot. I think the Tennessee staff has proven they can take less than 5-star talent on offense and be productive, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can do that on defense. So they went out and they got the Herring kid, and they got the Carter kid, and they got a great pass rush out of Missouri named Bradley. They got some upper-level defensive players, which is what I think they need for the offense that they run. You got to have some studs. You got to have some pass rushers. You got to have some players who can make some big plays on defense. And I think they did that with this class. So I'm really bullish on this class Tennessee brought in.
Well, with Jimmy Hyams, Sports Talk Radio legend for WNML.
So, Jimmy, let's talk. You mentioned this big basketball game tonight. May as well get into this rascal. But first, I'll ask you this. You've covered Tennessee for a minute or two now, in a game or two. Do you remember a week where they lost 2 games on consecutive buzzer beaters after missed free throws that could have clinched the game by the same guy?
Ooh.
No, and it's probably never happened in program history.
Okay.
Tyreek Key was asked afterward, do you ever remember losing a game on 2 3-pointers at the end of it? He said, yeah, we did that at Indiana State. There was a back-to-back situation when he played for Indiana State.
Wow.
I don't remember that. That is so rare. And although Rick Barnes didn't acknowledge this, I thought that he was so positive after the game because he felt like this team may have needed a pat on the back instead of a kick in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
And now he said no. He said, I was speaking honestly. That's what I really thought. But I felt like when you lose 2 games like that, you don't want to lose your team, right? You don't want their confidence to be shattered. And so what did Barnes focus on? He focused on the comeback in the second half when they were down by 17 and took a lead. And he focused on how sick and how he hated it for Santi Vescovi, who could have put the game away with some free throws at the end. So that's where he was. And I think a lot of basketball right now, because a lot of teams are tired, I think a lot of it is about trying to stay fresh mentally and trying to be confident. And I think that's one of the things that Rick Barnes was trying to do, was to make sure that his team didn't lose any confidence that, hey, this is still a really, really good basketball team. You lost a couple of games on tough breaks at the end, and I don't want them to get their dauber down. So I think he felt like this team needed a pat on the back.
So, Jimmy, I mean, again, you've covered a lot of teams. You covered all the Rick Barnes teams. Is this the bunch that beat Texas that everybody thought, holy cow, these guys could win the whole thing? Or is this team more the lose 3 out of their last 4 and you don't really know who they are?
I don't know who they are.
Okay.
I'll say this. And look, they've had moments where they look like a Final Four team, right? They've also had moments where they lost 2 in a row to unranked opponents. I do remember this. With basketball, it can be hard to tell. Now, this goes back a long ways, but I remember Florida was coming off a national championship in basketball. They lost 5 out of 6 in February, and everybody wanted to bury them. And then they won the national championship. It was a year ago that North Carolina was kind of floundering around a little bit. They got hot, and then they made it to the national championship game. Kansas, about last year around this time, lost the game by 30 points. So a lot of it is about getting hot at the right time. That is the key. Can Tennessee do that? They can. Now, one of the concerning things is the Tennessee fans keep looking at Tennessee and saying, well, look at it. This is how they're going to lose in the NCAA tournament. They're not going to shoot well, or they didn't guard the three-point line. They keep looking at all these warts about this team, about why they can't make a run. But I will tell you, they are capable of making a run. Will they do it? I don't know. Again, you got to get hot at the right time. But they do have the pieces to make a run in the NCAA tournament, in my opinion.
Jimmy Hyams, always hot at the right time, joins us here on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Jimmy, staying on the basketball, Vescovi's hit a lot of shots, and even is that how you pronounce his name? Or Vescovi? Is it in his head now? At the end of the game, he missed it again. But during the regular part of the game, he looked fine shooting free throws. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think he's going to be okay. Now, you pointed this out. He hit a clutch 3 that gave Tennessee a lead with less than 3 minutes left. He went to the line with 7.1 seconds left and made 2 free throws.
2 free throws, yep.
And that's what you expect. He has been one of Tennessee's best free throw shooters in the last 4 minutes of the game for 4 years. I think it's a blip on the radar screen. Now, having said that, when you go through that, there is a little bit of a confidence shakeup. Heck, as great of a putter as Tiger Woods is, I remember he went through a little bit of a putting slump where he kept lipping putts out, and it started to bother him a little bit, and then they started going in, and boom, he was right back to putting like Tiger Woods. So it happens to a lot of athletes, whether they want to admit it or not, but I think Vescovi will be fine. I think putting that – now, I'll say this. Put in that situation, you'd probably rather have Ziegler at the foul line, but my number 2 guy is Vescovi. I would still trust him to come through.
So what do you think they got to do tonight to beat Bama?
Well, I watched the Golden State Warriors the other night. They made 20 out of 40 three-pointers.
That worked.
I was wondering where he's going with this.
Yeah, so that's the formula. And the Golden State also had 40 assists. So if Tennessee has 40 assists and they're 20 out of 40 on threes, they'll beat Alabama.
Well, I'm hearing that like they're gonna checkerboard the floor or no? Is that a thing or no?
Well, they're going to checkerboard the stands.
The stands, okay.
So, yeah.
Uh-oh. Jimmy, where'd you go? They
make
checkerboard.
sure they're wearing the orange or white. So, and it's been done before there. I don't think it's as effective as it is at a football game, but it's been done there before. And so they're going to break that out against Alabama. By the way, I think Tennessee's 5-14 when facing the number 1 team in the country.
Ooh.
And this Alabama team's really good. Now, I'll say this. They have a good defensive team. I did watch them against Oklahoma, and they didn't play a lick of defense against Oklahoma. But in many other games, they've been really good on defense. They're an outstanding three-point shooting team. They play fast. They hit buckets in transition. This is going to be a heck of a challenge for Tennessee.
Would you be surprised if they won? Because I think they got a great shot against the odds.
Well, I would be surprised if they won. Now, having said that, look, there are a lot of lines out there, but there was some line that I saw yesterday or this morning had Tennessee favored by 1.5. I don't think so. Now, here's another thought. Alabama just came off an emotional win at Auburn. So are they going to beat an emotional peak against Tennessee? It's hard to do that 2 games in a row. So that would play in Tennessee's favor. Do I think Tennessee will play Alabama off its feet? Yes. But I think Alabama's got too much firepower, and Tennessee's not going to have Josiah Jordan-James. If they have G and Phillips, it won't be 100%. So when you factor in those 2 things, I don't think Tennessee beats Alabama.
So Phillips, you think will play, or at least attempt to play?
He may attempt to play. He did it against Missouri. He went one half and wasn't that effective. He didn't play the second half. He's got a hip flexor. And as Rod Clark, the assistant coach, said within the last 2 hours, it's a game-time decision. And so we'll see if he's able to go. But I can't imagine him being real effective or 100% coming off that hip flexor.
And, I have to, now with Oklahoma and Texas coming in, I guess, a year early than expected, how do you think the divisions or the conference, how do you think it'll be set up? Be quads? I mean, do you know or have any insight or any ideas of what you would do with these two teams coming in?
Yes, they're not going to have divisions, and
Okay.
they're not going to have quads or pods.
Okay.
It's going to be a 16-team division. The top two teams are going to go to the SEC championship, which, by the way, if they'd had that last year, Tennessee would have gone. Because Tennessee would have been seeded ahead of LSU and Alabama.
Yeah.
But so that's what they're going to do. And then I'm convinced of this. I'm convinced they're going to the 6-3 model, 3 permanent opponents, and then 6 that rotate. And I have felt this way since the SEC spring meetings last year when one of my SEC sources, I was talking to him and I was going over some models and suggesting some things. And I told him I like the 7-2 model. He said, does that get you home and home in a 4-year period? I said, no. He said, well, then you need to redo it. and I'm redoing it. The 6-3 model does satisfy that. So that's why I think they're going to 6-3.
Cool. Well, with Jimmy Hyams, the living legend.
Jimmy, fantastic stuff, man. Enjoy the game tonight, and look forward to catching up with you again soon. Thank you, buddy.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
Always.
Always great to have the great Jimmy
We had baseball
Hyams.
on Friday.
Yes, sir.
Man, UT, man, they killing it, man. In the 3 major men's sports, man, they are on fire.
A lot of people wandered around in the wilderness for a long time over there, especially with football. And you just won the most games since, 2000, Lucas, for football? Most wins since the year 2000, is that right?
2001.
2001. Vitello has got this rascal going. I mean, they could easily make the College World Series this year. This Rick Barnes basketball team, who knows? It's like a box of chocolates and Forrest Gump. You never know what you're going to get. But it could go on a heck of a run. They play like they did earlier this year. They got Bama tonight. Going to be fun. I bet you that you can hear that game right here on 104.5 The Zone. All right, when we come back, I want to ask Blaine Bishop, do you want to have a reunion with the former Titans player? Because I've been reading all the who's going to get cut lists. There's a guy who's going to get cut. I want to ask you, would you be interested in seeing this guy in two-tone blue again? That's next.
Can't
Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone.
Oh.
Cage the elephant? Oh, man.
Cage the elephant?
That's the
An elephant is Cage?
No, that's a really good band from Bowling Green,
I
Kentucky.
love Cage.
Okay.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
I've realized Cage has become one of my favorite workout bands.
Oh,
He
that's
gets
what you work.
choked up
That's
talking
what you,
about. He loves them so
that's
much.
what you work out to?
Yeah, I'm trying to find good workout music.
Oh, I
Cage the
didn't
elephant.
know you worked out.
Look at him, Blade. He's
I know.
Look at that.
Well, I mean, he's at a point where he can
sinewy
just eat what he
athlete in
wants
there.
to, and he just probably.
I just rolled my ankle running back into this studio, so I don't know.
Did you?
I don't know how good a shape I'm in.
We got any? I don't know. Sometimes I put you on the spot. We got any sentimental music to play?
Sentimental.
Something sentimental to tug at people's memories, Lucas. Anything?
Because you want to see what I think about
see what you
some
think about
former
somebody
player
coming
who
back.
may get cut.
Yeah, I love putting Lucas on the spot. He's
To the
just
Titans.
typing in there like crazy, trying to find something in the music box. I see him maneuvering. I really want the music to start before I.
You want me to guess before? I got a couple guys
You
that
know
know.
it. Yeah, I think you know who it is.
I don't know. I could think of like 3 guys off the top of my head that may get cut.
Position of need.
Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith. Who else could I think of? There was. I don't know if he's gonna get cut, but the Undertaker's always on my list. So yeah.
You were right with the first one, Corey Davis. Oh, this is nice. Thank you.
Oh my.
Corey Davis, one-time Titan. First-round draft pick by this team. He was the first wide receiver taken, Blaine, in the 2017 NFL draft. Team guy, well-liked in the community. Great story, MAC player, just like yourself, Blaine.
Oh.
Corey Davis pulled himself up from his bootstraps, played 4 years for the Tennessee Titans, amassing 207 catches, almost 2,900 yards, and he spent 2 years in New York Jets. All the media up there think he's about to get set sail out onto the big NFL of life and once again have a chance to try another team. Should the Titans kick the tires? This is fantastic music for this segment,
It
Lucas.
is. This is piano.
So
Bingo.
does this music, somebody said, did he die? Sheesh. No, he didn't die. Somebody said this music is about to make me cry.
Alive and well.
It's alive and well and about to be very much available by all accounts.
Wow.
Left here for 3 years, $13 million a year. You look back now, $13 million a year for a guy who fits your system and blocked, which they really want you to do. He blocks. They just kept him around, but they didn't. Been in exile in New York for 2 years. He's played 9 games in year 1 there. He played 13 games last year out of a possible 17. Many think he will be a cap casualty. The Jets could save $10.5 million in cap space by cutting him loose. He has 66 catches, 1,028 yards, and 6 TDs over the last 2 years.
So this is a big thing. You're pretty sure he's gonna get cut, huh?
Feels like it. Jonnu Smith, I think they're a little too upside down in his contract still to cut him. He may get cut, but I want to say that I looked. It just wasn't the same as Corey. It would be easy to say goodbye to him. It's so easy for the Jets to say goodbye.
Mickey sounds like the golf guy.
Jim Nance.
This
This is my
Nance.
tribute to Jim Nance, by the way. He lives here. The great Jim Nance. Jim, if you're listening, this is all for you, friend.
He's probably doing his master's prep right now with the zone
You know
on.
he is. I mean,
okay.
he could be
We
in
can stop
Pebble
the
Beach
music.
right now. He could be anywhere.
Oh my.
His own line of clothing from Vineyard Vines, the great Jim Nance.
Oh my. Man. Ooh, this is, I do not like hearing 9 and then 13. I mean, 13 is not that bad, but if it was 13.
9
13
is his career low of games played. That was last year.
Yeah, that was his first year getting paid that loop, man. Guys are looking crossways like, hey, man, what's wrong with you, man? What you say? Now, it could be a serious injury. I don't know what the extent of his injury was. Obviously, it had to be pretty bad for him not to be on the field. But that's kind of followed him throughout his career. Really, injuries and missing games. And nothing, I would say, that's catastrophic like an ACL or Achilles or things of that nature. But he's always going to miss games. For the right price, I think he fits the bill as far as his personality and everything else. He does what he's supposed to do. Right price, I would consider it. And that would probably be $7 million and under. That's the limit's 7. I would really want to get him for 5, but I don't know where he's at in his career as far as where he think he should get paid. Because when he did play, he was productive there with the Jets. I don't know his stats, but I would see highlights of him. And then they had quarterback issues too as well there. So it's always tough to play a receiver when you got rotating quarterbacks. Yeah, I like his talent. You got to know that he's going to miss some games though, and I don't know if that would be, the nail that kind of closes for me. Ooh, that's a tough one. Price will determine if I got him. If he's looking for $10 million, $8 million or higher, I'm definitely not there. The going rate for a good, solid receiver, and that's with not missing games, is probably about 7 for me in this day and age.
What if that Rascals agent called and said, look, man, we're willing to sign a 1-year prove-it deal for like $3 million?
Oh, I take it.
Okay.
I take it. I take it with some incentives even. I would give it to him. I actually probably would offer that. Yeah. League minimum, $1 million? Or whatever.
3.
$3 million. Yeah, I'd do that too.
Prove-it deal, $3 million.
Yep,
throw some
I'll do
incentives in there. That Rascal plays 14, 15, 16, 17 games.
I may go as high as 5 for that with incentives. And actually, I would do the same thing with Bud Dupree. Tough call, hard to sell because of pass rusher, coveted position. But I would cut him and bring him back to some incentive-laden type contract. You play, you produce, you get paid. You don't, we're not on the hook. You already got us for 2 years, bro. Which I said I would never sign him. I would have signed him to a prove-it deal that year. But it didn't work out that way, so yeah. Because I got Landry coming back, and I don't know if Landry is going to be fully healthy, even though he got hurt before the season started. You just got to account for he may miss some time just on swelling.
Yeah.
Don't know. Hope it doesn't. Hope he looks like the old Harold Landry. But you got to play for he may not. And so then if I split time with him and Dupree and maybe get another pass rusher, now I'm working with something. So, but that's hard to do when they got all these O-line issues going on. And you do have Simmons and Archery. So, yeah. That's I think it's getting kind of off the table with Archery. Like, I don't think anybody's going to be like, maybe we should reduce the salary of Archery. Huh? I don't know, man.
Well, if Autry's here, I'm not reducing one nickel of his salary.
No, he's a proven. I mean, he's done well. So then he's played outside as well. It may not be what he wants to do, but that's where they put him, and he's still produced.
Oh man, he produces when
what did he do at the end of the year? He missed a couple games. I want to say he banged his knee or something. Something got banged up. Maybe it was his elbow or it was something. That's the only really he missed last year was because of that. I think it was a 3-game stretch there too towards the end. So yeah. And that's kind of I would kick the can around. I don't know if Corey Davis would want to be back. Different GM though, because he said they never called him. I watched a podcast, if I can recall. I think the year after he was there in New York, and said that they never even showed any interest. The Titans said they never offered him a dime. That's what he said. That's what I can recall. Or it was some low number. He acted like they weren't interested at all.
Dang.
Yeah, that's so that was JR and crew. So maybe Rand would be a little bit different. But sometimes that may hurt him too as well. Rand may be looking at, well, that was a past draft guy. I want to move forward with fresh new bodies and guys that I pick.
We got to move forward with hour number 2 of the program. The Titans have filled their last coaching vacancy. This guy had a real interesting end to the season somewhere else. He also has a title here. I want to ask Lucas, what does it mean? Next.
It is 2:02. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans reportedly putting the finishing touches on their coaching staff. Tom Pelissero of NFL Network reported on Tuesday that Justin Outen will be named the team's running backs coach and run game coordinator. Outen spent last season as the offensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos, the 3 years prior to that as the tight ends coach of the Green Bay Packers. Tonight, number 10, Tennessee, who has lost 3 of its last 4 games, will look to get back on track against the number 1 team in the country. Alabama heads to Knoxville, a 6 p.m. tip-off. You can hear it right here on The Zone, courtesy of the Vol Network. Belmont also in action tonight, hosting Evansville at the Curb Center. That's a 6:30 tip-off. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Halfway through the half day, halfway through the week show. It's the next of the Sports Dog universe. It's hump day, and we're more than halfway through, and it's 2:04 in the afternoon. So it's a downhill sprint for everybody for the rest of this work week. You're welcome.
Oh man,
Downhill sprint.
Oh, is that a Arkansas State logo?
What's that?
Oh, you sure? Or is that Cardinals?
Cardinals.
Oh, okay.
Pitchers and catchers reported, man.
Oh yeah, baseball has begun.
The bases are the sizes of pizza boxes now. Have you guys seen this?
No, I saw that they changed some of the rules. Is that they said that the bases are smaller and then the run in between the bases is 4 inches shorter or something?
The bases are so big now that it made the distance between the bases shorter.
Ah, okay.
But it's only a few inches total, but they're calling the bases pizza boxes.
Oh.
So baseball essentially does nothing. Now they got ghost runners and extra innings where it's like, Blaine, you go out there and take second, big dog. Okay. They're going to do it again.
Yeah, well, this is big news. I mean, that they're continuing it in baseball, who they don't like to do any rule changes. So I'm waiting for them to get a cyborg robot out there to call strikes. Yeah, that's the next move, man. If you're going to go all in baseball, go all in.
People gripe about umps, but I don't know if people want the robot umps.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
I mean, people always gripe about officials. You want all robots out there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They can go look at that replay, too.
Yeah.
That's going to be crazy. That'll never happen, huh? Maybe.
Titans aren't hiring any robots, but they have hired a running backs coach, which was their last open position. They hired a running backs coach / run game coordinator. Justin Outen. Supposedly he interviewed a long time ago. That report came out that he had interviewed for a position on the staff.
With the Titans?
Yep.
Long time ago?
Yes, weeks ago.
And we're just now signing him.
It just got reported. Thomas Pelissero.
Is this true, Lucas? Like, how long ago? Do we know the date?
That it was reported the Titans spoke with him?
Yeah, remember that?
I do remember that. It was during the offensive coordinator search. Now, the team, the Pelissero reporting it, the team has not officially announced it yet. But if Pelissero is reporting it, then it's most likely true.
Yeah, he became the OC, I guess, after they let Hackett go. So he did a decent job calling plays with Denver, who was a dumpster fire, considering he had not a lot of experience calling plays, I think. So, yeah, he's a running back. I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, the running backs coach and what did you say, run game coordinator?
Run game coordinator.
Oh.
So he's not just a running backs coach. Mm-hmm. He's also the run game coordinator. Mm-hmm. Do you remember, like, position coaches having other titles that much when you played?
Position coaches, not so much, but that's a new trend now. But it all started kind of in college, though, with all these analysts and specialists and what they do, or coaches who were fired and who were still on your staff, and then they kind of focus on those things. So that, and also I think they're trying to justify, the salary they want to pay them. So, but no, as things evolve and change, run game quarter. I don't know what that actually means. Every team is so different on what that actually means. He's going to be designing and looking up all the different runs that the previous teams that they may be playing or will play, what worked and what didn't work, so, man. And he's still the running back coach. So, yeah. So the staff is done. So we shall see. You know, and all of these hires, I'm fine with really the OC is the only one. I want to make sure Kelly. The rest of them are pieces to the puzzle. You got to collaborate and all those things in the meeting room. But I want to see what Kelly brings different to the table. And when I watched him with the Texans, that's why I asked Coach Mack that yesterday is, what did he see when the Titans played him and he was the OC for those 2 years? Now, it's also easy. Watson may have had his best year when he was with the Texans, and then Mills improved drastically by the end of the season with him as the OC. So there are some things that I like, and he changed, their passing game in the second half where he spread the field and just started throwing it around the yard, and your man Amendola just went crazy. And that was his last game of his career. So he went out on a high note. So it shows he made adjustments during the game and some development even of the quarterback. So there were some things in there that I liked that I watched. Here's the difference, though. And as much as I like some of the things that he did, there's a different head coach. So I equate everything that Vrabel is doing to like chess. I love playing chess. I'm the king. And that's how the head coach is the king. So no matter if I have the queen, the bishop, the castle, the horse, I can change those all around and how they move. But guess what? I'm still the king. So we're about to see how much he gives latitude to his offensive coordinator and let him kind of run his style of offense. If not, we'll know immediately based off of the first couple of games, got to give him 2 or 3 games, is it still Vrabel running this offense? Now, that's not to say that they're going to do some of the things that they did before, but we will definitely see some of the wrinkles. There's no way around it. I don't care who's playing what positions and if it's more productive or not. You know, you could run the same offense and have better players, and it looks totally different, right? No, it just has success. So that's, really my deal with Vrabel. And he can say, I hired some guys from outside. Guys, don't fall for the wool over the tailpipe now. He hired no one that can test him in the meeting room. No one who can challenge him about we're running this and this is going to work. I think he hires people that says, okay, that's what you want to do. That's what we're going to do. So to me, collaboration means we collaborate in everything. You still have the final say so, but if he proves to you that this can work based off design in practice or based off of film that he shows you, you should be able to say, run with it. Here's why I equate it to a player and he makes a mistake, and then now, regardless if you went over it or not multiple times, now he's playing tight because you yelled at him. Well, that same thing happens. We're humans. Same thing happens. Where if a player messed up in a game and you don't, you say, hey, man, you got that next time. He said, yep, I got it. Totally different thought process. And I think Vrabel is something like that. Because why? I go back to our man Burks coming to the sideline apologizing about him missing a block on a fumble recovery for his first touchdown. It shows that he is micromanaging everybody and he's in everybody's head. And he should know better than that being, guess what? A former player. But guess what? He can't control what he is doing because he is now not playing. You must relinquish that to your coaches, and you've heard me say this multiple times, you must be able to coach and play freely. Freely. We went over this all week. Now I'm about to call plays. Now I'm about to play. And I've experienced this myself. And I know how much it can mess with you as an athlete or as a coach. I can give a great example. Greg Williams would come to on game day, and we're in the locker room, and I'm about to go out and play, and I'm ready to go have some fun. I'm getting jacked up. I'm ready. He going over all the dang on freaking stuff we went over all week. Bro, get out of my face. You making me nervous, man. I prepared.
Right.
You nervous. I'm not.
Right.
I'm ready to rock and roll. I didn't put in the time to work, and now I'm about to let go. You know why? I'm about to play free. And what I see, I go. And that's, to me, I'm waiting to see if he lets the coordinator go. And everybody can laugh about Downing going to, and I said he was going to get another job and all that other crazy stuff off the field. Doesn't matter. But they say, they laughing. They're passing game coordinator. Well, coaches get hired and fired at different places all over the place. Bill Belichick was one of them. He was only 9-7 or whatever. He didn't have a lot of success earlier, and he got hired, rehired. Guess what? we don't know. Maybe this coach who's more defensive minded, maybe he lets his coaches coach and lets him do what he wants to do. And then says, hey, it's on you. I can reprimand you in the meeting the next day. I want you to coach him up. Hey, I believe in what you can do. Passing game coordinator. We all know the passing game was absolutely crap. But you got to have some guys that got to block too now.
Yeah.
So your quarterback don't get killed. So there's a lot of tentacles here. So I'm interested to see if it can get done. I'm hoping it can, but you just never know. Because guess who? It's the same guy as the king. Same guy as the king. Nobody who can challenge the coach. Any coach that would challenge him, I think they were no longer here. LaFleur, Pease, gone. Test of time. So it'll be all on him.
Going to be one heck of an interesting offseason, for sure. Team had a losing record last year, did not make the playoffs. So
7 in a row now. They lost 7 in a row. As I said before, I've never seen some. This league is built on winning. They don't care about no coach of the year before. You a good coach, you get to blame. So, boy, this is going to be really interesting because they start off a slow start. They shouldn't have a tough schedule, but so we shall see. Boy, it's going to get crazy. Woo!
New GM, too.
He going to give him the players.
Well, I cannot wait to see how this works out. This is just going to be a fascinating offseason for sure to see what players they do get, what happens with the quarterback, and more.
Sky's the limit. You can only go up. Really, on offense, you can only go up. You got to get better players. You can't go any lower than you were. We had Twice Daily out there blocking.
Yeah, somebody asked me about him the other day. He's a free agent, so you don't have to worry about him anymore. He will not be here.
Watch this. Y'all think I'm crazy.
I know. Him as a backup.
Yep. I would. At guard. Yeah.
Battling with Radens at guard, huh?
Well, I don't even know if Rayden's going to be battling anywhere towards ACL.
He's going to be out for
So,
a minute.
yeah, he knows our system, and we were playing him out of position because we were in a bad shape with our offensive line. Yeah, he's a guard, and he play him at backup. See how he looks. League minimum's not costing me nothing. He's got some experience.
He's got league minimum. That's true. He would be an inexpensive option for an offensive line. Is going to be completely rebuilt, I would imagine. In how that works with draft picks and free agents. Free agency comes up first, so we'll get to see what the plan is. That'll be our first real good. Well, our first good look at Rand Carthon is who gets cut, then what free agents they sign, and then on to the draft. NFL. That wheel never stops turning. Let's talk NFL storylines next with our buddy Jordan Dajani, his weekly visit from CBS Sports up next. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5
TV.
The Zone. Time for our weekly visit with our man, Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports, talking all things NFL at Jordan Dajani on Twitter. JD, how are you doing today, buddy?
What's going on, my guys? I'm excited to be on the airwaves with you guys once again. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic.
Fantabulous.
Probably not as well as Travis Kelce at a Super Bowl parade, though, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Man, let me tell you, he and Patrick Mahomes look like me and Lucas on Broadway on Friday night after 44 nights. They were having the time of their lives, man.
Is he, how many times has he said no one thought they could win the Super Bowl? Is he still pitching that unbelievable storyline?
Yeah, at least a few times. He just took the microphone. I turned off the computer, of course, to jump on the phone with you guys. But that was one of the first things he said, for sure.
Man, crazy to think. We had a Chiefs reporter on yesterday, and we go do all these playoff games and cover Titans games. And I'd actually been to Arrowhead, and they got that one little solitary Super Bowl flag and, one end zone of that Arrowhead Stadium for years from, 1969. And then Andy Reid shows up, and now they can't stay out of the Super Bowl. And some people have been reluctant to call this a dynasty. Get over yourself. This is what a dynasty looks like now.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys remember, I chose the Chiefs in the Super Bowl because making Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid as postseason underdogs for the first time ever was wrong. Making the Chiefs, who defeated the Bengals in a thrilling NFC Championship game as underdogs, was wrong. It blows my mind that the majority of people wanted to bet against Mahomes, who was plus money in Vegas. I mean, I just bet that out of principle. It almost seems like we take greatness for granted, guys. I mean, we are watching greatness with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and it still just blows my mind that the majority of people wanted to bet against it. Now, the Chiefs we always viewed as what I like to describe as a budding dynasty. A dynasty, of course, is a very strong descriptor, but you need multiple Super Bowl championships to at least call yourself that. And the Chiefs have done that in a very short amount of time. They appear to have one of the best quarterbacks of all time on roster in his prime, one of the best tight ends in NFL history on their roster, and Andy Reid, of course, is just an offensive mastermind. So, yeah, I'm cool with calling the Chiefs a dynasty. What they've done over the past 5 years is pretty incredible.
I can see Trey Smith on TV behind these guys, too, as they have their parade here. Jordan Dajani parading his NFL knowledge for us on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, what were your thoughts of the actual Super Bowl instead of are they a dynasty? I mean, man, what an amazing game and ebbs and flows. But kind of give your analysis of just what you thought about it on both sides.
Well, let me tell you, man, I'm so glad this was an entertaining Super Bowl. It was one of my favorites in recent memory. What was it, the third highest scoring Super Bowl in NFL history? I think it was just 3 points away from breaking the record of 75 points, which was set by the 49ers and Chargers, I think, in 1994. This was also tied for the second largest comeback win in Super Bowl history. The Chiefs were down 10 points at halftime, and they came back to win. Remember, Patrick Mahomes also came back from down 10 points against the 49ers a few years ago in the Super Bowl as well. And, man, let me say, I was scared. When I was watching the Rihanna halftime show, I was scared that we were going to get robbed of a good Super Bowl because we all saw Patrick Mahomes go down with that to re-aggravate that ankle injury on his last offensive snap of the first half. And I was like, man, are the Eagles just going to coast now because Patrick Mahomes is too banged up? Well, we didn't have to wait long for an answer because he took the offense 75 yards down the field to open up the third quarter, a statement scoring drive. They still trailed by 3 points, but at that point, I knew they were going to come back to win.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. Did you have a favorite, pregame, halftime, or commercial that you liked?
I didn't have one, but it's crazy, man. I watch so many sports. Like when commercials come on the TV, I almost automatically tune out, unless it's the Burger King jingle, which I'm sure they play at the gates of hell on repeat continuously. But I tell you, I would spend a lot of time writing. Of course, we were working pretty much the entire day for Super Bowl, pumping out all the content and articles that we possibly could. So no, I didn't really pay attention to the halftime or the commercials in general.
No doubt. Now that the Eagles have lost both their OC and DC, man, you hearing any, I guess, with all your contacts in the NFL, potential guys to maybe interview for the OC and the DC jobs?
Yeah,
with the Eagles?
Pretty early. I haven't really talked to anybody who covers the Eagles about what the next course of action may be. And, of course, anytime you lose two of your top assistants. Obviously, those are going to be very important hires for the Philadelphia Eagles, who appear to be on the verge of being perennial contenders with the quarterback they have in Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, all those guys. I would keep an eye on the quarterbacks coach that Philly currently has in-house. I think his name's Brian Johnson, I believe.
Yep.
I know that he was a guy that other teams around the league had a bit of interest in. But I think a lot of people anticipated Shane Steichen leaving and then Johnson being promoted to offensive coordinator. He's somebody who also, of course, had a hand in Jalen Hurts and him taking that big step in 2022. So keeping some consistency with that position may be important, especially with an offensive mind like Nick Sirianni. So that's a candidate I'm keeping in my mind right now. Now, in terms of the defensive coordinator spot, I'm not exactly sure just yet. Of course, Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen were just announced this week. I think it was yesterday. So they have a couple of days to really mull this over and see what kind of course of direction they want to chase.
No doubt about it. Well, Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS. I guess one more, and that is Derek Carr. Now that he's a free agent, where do you think he's going to end up? Man, it could be dropping any time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say that. I think that he's going to take his time and really kind of explore different avenues. But with that being said, he really does kind of almost seem like the first domino to fall. That's at least what I'm hypothesizing. Mm-hmm. He's a veteran signal caller with experience, so there's going to be multiple teams that are interested in him. I'm glad I was correct in assessing the situation, saying that no trade was going to come to fruition. Derek Carr was going to get cut, and now he's entering what is basically free agency for himself. If I had to throw out a couple of potential landing spots for him, I'm keeping my eye on the New Orleans Saints. Of course, they were the one team to visit with him when he was still under contract with the Raiders. With that being said, you have to look at their financial situation. It's not one of the most glamorous in the NFL. I think it's actually the worst. So both sides are going to have to make concessions if Derek Carr is indeed going to head to the NFC South to represent the Saints. Now, the other team that we should keep an eye on has to be the New York Jets. I think it's already been reported that they're more interested in acquiring a signal caller with experience. So if Aaron Rodgers decides to retire or stay with the Packers, I think that their attention could shift to Derek Carr.
Are there any connections to their staff with Carr? I know that doesn't matter. I know you have I think the OC there with the Saints, but there's no connection with anyone to the Jets with Carr through their coaching career or on their staff?
Yeah, so with the Saints, Dennis Allen was his head coach for a total of 4 games, I think, during his rookie season. So that's barely a tie there, but it was enough of a tie for them to check in and have that visit while he was still under contract. As for the Jets, I'm not 100% sure. I know that they've been kind of making over their roster over the past couple of weeks. Nathaniel Hackett's in the building as offensive coordinator. Todd Downing's part of that staff now as well. So maybe there's a connection there somewhere in New York, but I haven't had a chance to identify it just yet.
If you had to choose, if you were Derek Carr, what place do you think is the best fit for him, even outside of those 2 teams you just named?
I think it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that would be number 1 on my list.
Because of the weapons.
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons why. One is what you just mentioned, the weapons. As I said before, I don't think the Buccaneers are exactly poised to enter a full-on rebuild. They have pieces on both sides of the ball, and they just need someone to come in and be a distributor is the way that I've described it at least. But here's the other thing. Derek Carr, and I hate this narrative, but now there's some truth that rings with it. Derek Carr does not like the cold weather. I think him playing against the Steelers on Christmas was one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. Playing in Florida, in Tampa, I think would be beneficial to him. So if I was Derek Carr, looking at Tampa Bay would definitely be something I would consider.
There you have it. Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
So while we're in the quarterback speculating business, what's your speculation about Jimmy G, who is a free agent? He can go anywhere.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's going to have the same potential landing spots as Derek Carr because if I was trying to categorize these quarterbacks, they're both veterans. They're both guys who maybe are not going to win games with their arms, but they're good enough that they can make all the throws and they can be someone who adds something to an offense with a team that has been lacking in the quarterback category. So I wrote a piece looking and playing free agency matchmaker. For the Buccaneers, I actually chose Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that they would be a potential landing spot as well. And again, I'll go back to the New York Jets because I think they want someone with experience, maybe not someone who's going to break the bank. They will, of course, consider Aaron Rodgers, but if that's out of the window, then Jimmy Garoppolo is definitely going to be someone New York looks into, at least in my opinion.
We know that you're a sharp when it comes to your Vegas acumen, so you got to take $1,000 of Lucas Panzica's money, and you got to bet where Ryan Tannehill will take his first snap as a quarterback next season. Will it be Titans or the field? Which one would you take?
That'd be a great bet right now because we're seeing all these rumors flying around, and it seems like maybe it's a possibility Tennessee's going to part ways with Ryan Tannehill. And again, I've always said that I think Tennessee should explore every different avenue, right? I think that comes with being a new general manager. You're going to have to look for ways to better your team. And talking about the most important position in football is something that's going to be on the top of your list. However, with all that said, I do think that Ryan Tannehill is going to run it back with the Titans in 2023. We're going to continue to see articles and speculation and people making their own landing spots, but it makes sense to me. And in terms of keeping the squad together, Mike Vrabel's talked about how the offense isn't broken, but it needs to be improved. Keeping Tannehill is going to be something that would be at the top of my list if I had the option to choose so. So, yeah, if I'm betting Lucas's money, I can feel confident in putting it on Tannehill.
There you go, Jordan Dajani, CBS Sports, at Jordan Dajani on Twitter.
Well, Jordan, I'm still trying to figure out. I don't think I'll ever figure out Eric Bieniemy not even getting a head coach interview. I mean, are you hearing anything behind the scenes about, why he's not getting opportunities and then really having to make a lateral move? I mean, we see guys with no coaching experience or OC jobs and quarterback coach getting head jobs. So I'm just baffled now. Oh, you're under Andy Reid. Well, that usually works in your favor, and now all of a sudden it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because I think it's worth discussing. Now, I think Eric Bieniemy, I think most people would agree that he probably should have gotten his shot as a head coach at this point. For what reason, why he hasn't had that happen, I'm not sure. The Chiefs, for whatever reason, are keeping that close to the vest. It doesn't seem like any NFL insider has any kind of input onto why Eric Bieniemy hasn't gotten that head coaching gig just yet. Maybe he's not a great interview. Maybe a lot of people have thoughts and doubts about his role with the Chiefs in terms of constructing an offensive game plan, because obviously that's Andy Reid. That's Andy Reid's baby. I think he's probably the primary play caller as well, which is something that people take into consideration when it comes to head coaching prospects. So now all of a sudden, here we are, Wednesday, February 15th. Eric Bieniemy is going to interview with the Washington Commanders coming up soon. And yes, that's a lateral move. But honestly, if I'm Eric Bieniemy and my sole wish, I guess I should put it, is to be a head coach, I think leaving the Kansas City Chiefs, joining another franchise where I can be the sole head of the offensive side of the ball would be something that's beneficial to my resume. Because if I have success with someone like the Washington Commanders, and I'm obviously the leader on offense, that's going to up my stock as a head coaching prospect. And for whatever reason, it hasn't happened in Kansas City. So I think a change of scenery could be beneficial for him if that is his goal, to be a head coach in the NFL. So I really do think this is something we're going to have to watch over the next coming weeks.
Yeah, and Rivera was on the staff when I was there with the Eagles with Andy Reid as the head coach, so there's a connection there. So I'm sure he would give him a lot of favor. But on to quarterback extension, and I know you're not the guru on how much someone should get paid, but Jalen Hurts, man, he performed well in that game. I would have called it great if he didn't fumble the ball because they probably would have won, and that was probably one of the determining factors. But, man, what do you think he's going to get? What range?
I got to tell you, man, I mean, I was surprised with how well Jalen Hurts played. I thought that I love Jalen Hurts, and I think he's a good quarterback, but I did not anticipate him playing as well as he did on the big stage. I mean, he set quarterback Super Bowl records for rushing yards, breaking Steve McNair's, of course, rushing touchdowns in a game. I think he joined Terrell Davis as the only players with 3 rushing touchdowns in a Super Bowl game in Super Bowl history. He broke all these different kinds of records in a losing effort. Now, in terms of what he can get, I really wish I was a capologist for you guys so I could wax poetic about dollars and cents. But here's the thing. With Jalen Hurts, the Eagles are 100% sold on him being a franchise quarterback marching forward. Now, I think the Los Angeles Chargers and the Cincinnati Bengals are very sold on their quarterbacks as well. But I think the Eagles may be quick to sign him to an extension to really start things off. That would at least be my guess. I think he's obviously going to be up there in the top 10, top 7, no doubt about it. But I'm really keeping an eye on how his potential deal is going to be constructed as opposed to the pocket passers like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Those guys seem more set to break the bank as opposed to Jalen Hurts, but there's no doubt that this young quarterback has made himself a nice chunk of change with what he did in 2022.
Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
Jordan, all right, you got on the way out. You got an official's uniform on in the Super Bowl, and you see the play with Bradbury, and you know what's at stake in the game. Are you going to call that defensive hold or not?
So I wrote about this a lot on CBSSports.com, and the way that I phrased it is, was that defensive holding? Yes. Does that flag come out every time? No. I think that's the best way that we can put that. Now, when I saw the replay, I said, yes, I understand exactly why they threw the flag. I would have probably thrown it myself. It sucks that it came in that pivotal juncture, and it was something that directly affected the outcome of a game. I get all that talk, but, I mean, I think we all can agree we understood why it was thrown. And to back that up, I mean, obviously you guys have probably talked about how James Bradbury, after the game, owned up to it. He discussed it. He said, yes, I held the guy. And on top of that, Carl Sheffers, the head ump of the Super Bowl, he was asked about it by the PFWA pool reporter, and he said there was no debate among the officials. We saw holding. We threw the flag. It was cut and dry. There was no second guesses, and we're marching forward with that, which I thought was a pretty strong statement from an official after the game, especially with a penalty, as I said, that directly affected the outcome of the game.
The one and only Jordan Dajani joins the same time every week in Wednesday afternoon, 2 o'clock hour. Thank you, sir, at Jordan Dajani. Twitter, people can follow you there, of course, on the fantastic CBSSports.com, where you and all your colleagues are doing fantastic work.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it, JD.
Yes, sir. The one and only Jordan Dajani. All right, Tennessee and Alabama tonight. There's something that's really surprising to me about what's going on with this game. I mean, like, really surprising. I'll share it next. Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone. Happy Wednesday to you. 3HL coming up next. Check out what they got going today. You can check this out now, though. Calling. If you like hockey and golf, here's your chance. Time to gear up for golf season with the Nashville Predators. How about that? February 28th, be caller 5 now. I have no idea what this promotion is, but I'm interested. Golf and Predators. Caller 5 now can win tickets to see the Preds take on the Pittsburgh Penguins. You can go yell at the Penguins. They took that championship all those years ago. 615-737-1045 for more info or to purchase tickets. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Don't miss out. Caller 5 now. They always do these cross-sport and school promotions and things. Just go to all the games and you can experience all the promotions. You can just go and experience all of them. So here's my thing that I'm surprised about. And Blaine, you can say that's crazy. That's crazy. Why are you surprised by this? But
yeah, you act like you know what I'm going to say. What is it?
By every metric that I've seen, Tennessee is favored over Alabama tonight in this game. FanDuel has them 2.5-point favorite over Bama at home tonight.
Was it because they're playing at home and then because Bama just had a huge win and they think they're going to have a letdown after a big win? I think, what was it, over Auburn? So maybe that factors into that. So, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they may be betting that Tennessee can't continue to lose game winners. So the luck has to tide their way at some point in time. And maybe they'll get back to their winning ways. So, yeah. No, I'm not surprised. No. Basketball's a little objective, man. You can have a bad shooting night and then lose a game. So you just never know. So we shall see. I'm hoping they win. I'll be all in. I'm watching from beginning to end. Let's get ready for some basketball talk tomorrow.
Alabama, the number one team in the nation, coming off a 77-69 win over Auburn. That was their most recent win. That was on Saturday. They beat the crap out of Florida last Wednesday, 97-69. That's their last couple of games for Atlanta. This was an article from Mike Wilson, Tennessee's basketball history against number one teams. This is the 20th time that Tennessee has faced a number one program in history. They are 5-14 in the previous 19 matchups. They are 2-4 in Knoxville against the number one team.
Oh, so 5. Yeah. Okay. Not bad.
Most recent meeting against the number one opponent, they beat Gonzaga 76-73 on December 9th, 2018 in Phoenix. That was before rising to number one for a 4-week stretch in January. When I read that, I had to think back to remember that game.
Admiral Schofield.
Ooh, the Admiral? Ooh.
He hit the dagger 3 in that game.
Admiral was that guy. I mean, of all the guys on the team, I always thought he was that guy on the team.
They had a couple of
that
guys.
Well, Grant.
Yeah, it was Grant. It was Admiral, and Lamonte Turner would hit a big shot.
Yeah,
when they needed one.
Yeah, they had a great team though.
Tennessee is 3-3 in its past 6 games against top-ranked opponents, dating back to beating Memphis 66-62 on February 23rd, 2008.
That was number 1 versus number 2 at FedEx Forum.
The UT-Memphis series always has the potential to be fantastic. I mean, and I know there was the Penny and Rick Barnes thing.
It's unfortunate that it's come to what it has.
What is
Oh, I think it's great that that's come to that.
Well, but they're not playing.
Oh, eventually they will. They'll get back. The hatred will lead to playing. We'll prove it on the court.
I think the COVID cancellation from last year really soured things.
No.
I want them to get back to it. I really do.
We gotta have that.
Yeah.
Do you like? I'll ask you, Lucas. I'll ask you, Blaine. Do you like that as a go there, come here game, or do you just always play it in Nashville, which is sort of in between?
For me, I like to go there, come here.
Yeah.
The neutral site, and I get it. Everybody can get to it, but there's something about you want to play on your home floor, and I think both teams, deserve that. Yeah, so why not?
In college athletics in general, I want home floors, no matter what.
The atmosphere, the college atmosphere, the fans. Yeah, it's a little different.
Bridgestone is a nice little halfway point, though.
Yeah, maybe they play 3 times.
There.
They do it, and they play one of the games there.
Ooh, I think we may have just solved this.
Well, that's what they did.
Right.
So they had the 3-game series, home, away, neutral. And then we're hoping maybe we'd renew it. And then last year, I think, I think as long as Rick Barnes is at Tennessee and Penny's at Memphis, I don't think it's going to happen, personally.
See, I'm like Blaine. The fact that it's kind of gritty and dirty now, just a little something extra where, they're going to go out before the game and have to do the begrudging handshake or, do it in the line afterwards and, they really don't mean it. Man, when you've got that between the coaches, that friction, oh my gosh. Like Gino Auriemma now and everybody, just everywhere he goes, he says things and makes people mad as if he didn't already.
Exactly,
but he's become even more of a guy who he just hates everything.
And that's not a good enough reason to not play, right? Like that on-court friction.
That's not. Yeah,
but
that's not.
What happened last year is like spending the money to go play somewhere and you're warming up and then suddenly it's canceled. That's, I think, the ultimate reason why they're not playing is all the logistical parts of it. That the resources they wasted to do that.
Yeah, but you have plenty of money to buy out coaches and do things. And I get it. It was a bad look and it was poor sportsmanship. I mean, maybe you get, maybe it's the concession. You get the home game and the neutral game before you go back there. But it's a fantastic in-state rivalry, and it's so much fun when they play.
And it's so sad that they're not.
Yep.
And if I'm the athletic director of Tennessee, I'm going to say, hey, man, we got to put all egos to a side. And we got to go get this money and go kick their butts. How about that?
Well, you're going to make what you make at the home game. You're going to sell it out. But the big dollar bills in this, that neutral site game in Nashville, that's why all your favorite football teams go and play in Jerry's World and everywhere else, because it's big money to go play on the road. I say that as a guy who was in the room when football games got scheduled. I've seen the kind of offers you get. It's like, well, I mean, you can have Missouri at home or you could play them and, on the road. Busch Stadium, that was on the table once for the old Arkansas State Red Bulls.
Oh, good job here by Harold here. Is Nashville really a neutral site for Memphis? Because it would be mostly Tennessee fans.
Well, but neutral geographically.
Yeah.
Yeah, give Memphis people a reason to come hang out. Hey, speaking of hanging out, thanks for hanging out with us. Our music's about to stop playing. Have a good Wednesday night. We'll see you tomorrow. 3HL coming up next.
But in the meantime,
In between time.
peace.